Hello, my name is Tatenda Mudeki, and I'm a freshman at UMass Dartmouth. Today I'm going to be doing a video book review on the Charlton story by L. Perry Charlton II and George Winers. Um, this book basically, in general, talks about the life of L. Perry Charlton, um, how he started his business, and how he become part of the F.W. Woolworth company. So L. Perry Charlton was born in Chester, Connecticut on June 1863. Um, he was the son of James Charlton, who was a blacksmith, and, and during the time he was actually being a blacksmith was actually an honorable career, and you made a decent living out of it. But as ever since he was a boy growing up, he never really was interested in being a blacksmith. Um, he was more like interested in selling and trying to, make money on his own. He even had a paper route when he was a kid. Um, so when he was 17 years old, he moved to Boston, where he worked for Newell Corp as a merchant. Um, he would travel selling, different products and goods. And during that time, he met Seymour Knox, who was also, in the merchant industry, in the merchant business. And, after working for Newell for 8 years, he had saved enough money for him to be able to invest or open up a store. So he formed a partnership with his new friend Seymour Knox, and together they opened the first Knox and Charlton um, 10 5 10 cent stores. Uh, the 5 10 cent concept was actually invented or created by Frank W. Woodworth, who was Seymour Knox's first cousin. So after they opened, their store, the stores, they opened a few other stores around the New England area, and they were very, very successful stores. And even the first day when they opened the store, um, Charlton had only bought goods and products worth $100,000, and after the first day, they had sold out, and he realized that he had to double, and he had to actually double his the amounts of goods he had for the next day. So after the initial contract, with Seymour Knox was for about 6 years, um, but they also extended the contract um, because basically they felt like they still needed to be together. So basically, the partnership lasted for about 9 years. The partnership was dissolved in New Year's Day on 1896. Um, they went their separate ways and formed. They divided the stores which they had owned together, um, and they went their separate ways. Even despite that, they were still very good friends. Actually, before that, Seymour Knox had actually introduced L. Charlton to his cousin Frank Woodworth, and um, they kind of like that's how kind of like the connection was kind of formed and created. So when they went their separate ways, Charlton wanted to expand to the west. He wanted to open stores, westward, and he actually ended up doing so. The way he did it was he ended up selling 9 of his stores to Frank Woodworth so that he can have enough money to start up the stores. Because what he basically did, instead of buying existing stores or existing stores that were failing, that's what Seymour did. He would actually start from the ground up and build his own stores and hire his own new managers. That's how his business concept. So during this time period, he ended up owning stores, 53 stores, all from Fall River all the way to California, and he even had about 18 stores opened in Canada. So that was pretty impressive. Um, the person who helped him run the store was his main chief inspector was Simon Capstein. Simon Capstein was a fine young man who was very intelligent and was very hardworking. He was responsible for opening new stores, inspecting the stores, helping out the managers with any issues. One major bump Charlton faced was that there was an earthquake in San Francisco that destroyed one of his stores. And as soon as he got the telegram that his store was destroyed, within 30 minutes, he actually he sent a telegram back saying that he wanted that store rebuilt. And within 30 days, that store was rebuilt and open. It was actually one of the first businesses to actually reopen after the earthquake. So that just goes to show you the type of the type of man he was, especially when it came down to business and money. Um, so during his time when he had his stores and was making he was had great success. Um, Frank Woolworth realized the potential, and he wanted this the way Charlton had his stores. Frank, he wanted that region too, but he couldn't get into that region because Charlton was already in that region. So instead of trying to be like a rival, he actually what he did was he decided to form a merger with you know with his family and with Charlton to form the what was to become the FW Woolworth Company. Um, they did so. In April of 1911, he called a meeting in which he basically was, he invited um, the five other members, and he basically, gave them his proposal of coming and combining all the stores to form one major company. Um, the main reason the company ended up being called the FW Woolworth Company was because um, he felt that he deserved that right since he was the main developer of the 5 10 cents concept. So to him, that was something that that should was going to be given to him. So when they formed the company, he was the president. Frank Woodward was the president, and the four other members were vice presidents. These members included L. Charlton, um, Frank Woolworth, Charles Woolworth was his brother, uh, Seymour Knox, and F.W. Kirby. These were the five original founding members of the Woolworth Corporation, Woolworth Company. Um, so they all merged, they all combined the stores. Um, Actually, L. Charlton had actually said that he wanted his employees to stay in the company, including Simon. Um, so after the merger, 7 years after the merger, Frank Wood he suffered a nervous breakdown. He became overweight, and he was just having this problems. Um, Charlton, on the other hand, because coming he became because of the merger and the amount of stock he had in the company, and everybody was buying his stock, and his stock was doing well. He became very wealthy, and he retired from the company, even though he remained a board member and was still very active in the future of the company. So since he retired, he decided to service his country, and he dedicated his life to doing other things other than just business, and he became like a board of director on other banks. He started charity funds, and he was donating money to hospitals and organizations such as like you know the YMCA and these other places. So he was really um, not just like a successful business person, but as also a successful um, charity donor, someone who was helping in the community. Um, so more digging into his personal life, um, Charles, Earl Charlton, he married his beautiful wife Ida Maston when he was only about 26 years old. That was considered pretty young um, during the time. They had three children. They had Ruth, a daughter. They had two daughters and a son. Ruth and Earl Perry Jr. and Virginia Charlton. Their daughters, their children were pretty successful, even though Earl Perry Jr. wasn't very interested in being in academics. He liked doing other things like golf, and he actually became a known golfer in the region. So sadly, in 1930, L. Perry Charlton died, and he left most of his fortune and most of his money to charity. He had a Charlton Charity Trust Fund and the Charlton Building Trust Fund. Um, and the 67 of his life, 60, he was 67 at the time. Um, he made it worthwhile, and um, he ended up uh, being, not only just a successful business owner, but also one of the greatest man of his time. Um, so that's pretty much, the book review and what the book was. I thought the book was pretty good. The transitions were pretty consistent from paragraph to paragraph. Um, Anybody can, it's pretty understandable. And that's it. That's my time. And thank you for watching. And goodbye.